Philosophy. Love Philosophy by Jamiroquai. How cool was that track? That was chosen by Alisdair Pickering, who's in the studio with me, and Ryan J. Smith. Ryan has just released, well, they both have just released, but Ryan's movie has just come out. It's called Lottery. And he was on Coastal Radio earlier in the week. Was it last week, Ryan, you were on?
Yeah, it was last week.
With Jed. I listened to that interview and I thought, I want to get you in. And let's talk from a little bit of a more musical angle on the release of the movie and what we can glean from that. I have loads of students here at Upbeat, as you guys know. And it's great for them, and a lot of them listen in, to get some behind-the-scenes knowledge of how the music industry works and how they might want to consider getting into this industry in the future and how they might do it. So I thought that we could take them on a little bit of a journey. But first and foremost, welcome to Coastal again. And it's great to have you in. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. And I'd love you to tell me more about the movie, where it started, what happened with it all, and how come it's on a global release. So give us a bit of a lowdown on it all, Ryan.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. Yeah, Lottery is a movie that I wrote years and years ago. And as anyone knows, if you've done anything creative, sometimes it takes this, that, and the other to get projects off the ground. And I think it was after lockdown, and something in my brain just kind of snapped, and I went, right, I'm setting up my own movie studio. I'm kind of tired of waiting for other people, to try and rescue me, kind of thing. And I did, and that was the Skint Film Company, and Lottery is a movie that I made with my friends, and yeah, now it's, out there in the marketplace globally. So
how cool is that? I mean, how does that make you feel?
I can see people watching it in St. Anne's, and I'm like, that's cool. And then it's like someone from Ecuador watches it, and I'm like, that's also cool.
That's kind of almost even cooler in a way, because that global reach is what you, as a movie director, producer, really you're aiming for, aren't you?
Yeah, I think St. Anne's is pretty cool. I don't know about you.
Oh, I think St. Anne's is very cool.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that's often where people trip up when they make, especially movies. It's it's release, because a lot of people make stuff and then they sit on it, and it's kind of tricky to get stuff out there. But I think the way it kind of works now, especially with like modern technologies and stuff and streaming platforms, and it's the exact same in music, because most of my friends, including Ali, are musicians, and I know they have a similar thing with album releases. It's if you've got your head in in modern technology, you can kind of do anything now, and so that's exciting for movies, because we're making more and more, and we know that they're going to get out there, not just in the File Coast, but worldwide. So yeah, so I'm happy.
So I'm sure you are, and there's a lot of people sitting up and taking notice. You're getting quite some great press on it, and hopefully a lot more. And if you're listening in, check out the latest movie from Ryan. But can you give us an overview, a story overview?
So Lottery is about a young man who wins the lottery but loses the ticket. Yeah, kind of, very straightforward Friday night, pizza and beer sort of premise. But there's a love story in there, because it's me. There's always got to be a romance element to it. And yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns. And I don't know, I think for my first movie of this scale, i.e., something that can go out in the marketplace and make money, worldwide, and get reviewed by people worldwide as well. I wanted to do something that, is a Friday night movie, and it has a twist every 10 minutes, and just take people on a ride for an hour and a half. And I think we've achieved that. I think we're getting some good reviews that are alluding to that as well. So yeah. So again, I'm happy with how it's panning out.
Oh, that's great news. Well, I'm delighted for you, and wishing you all the best on that. When we want to talk more about the movie, the production, the way that you have stylized it, the way that you've had it in your head. Here's a question for you. That initial kind of idea, how has the final product married up to that initial idea? Has it taken a completely different journey? Is that the norm for you guys who are writing and producing and directing films?
Yeah, it's massively different.
Is it?
But I'm experienced enough in filmmaking now to know that's what you want. Because
right.
I used to be very nitpicky and like, it's got to be this way, and I want this, and like very like dictatorially like, no, it's this, and that just makes you miserable because you don't get that. But what happens if you kind of relax a bit and just trust that, no, the script's cool, your actors are great, you've got an award-winning composer who's gonna kick ass with the soundtrack. It's like, there's an element of just trust in the universe, I think, and like, because everything goes wrong when you're making a film, not in a bad way, no one gets hurt or anything, but it's more just like this location doesn't work out, so we're gonna have to use another location, and then in the end that's the best thing that could have happened, but it's that at every step, every part of the process,
Well, that's a great philosophy to have, and of course, if you've got to that through the process of making others, and now you're at a point where you can comfortably take on those dilemmas and make the work in your favor, I think that you're in a great place.
Yeah.
And I can see obviously that your process is now, you're much more comfortable, obviously, and you were saying earlier on, it's a lot of what you're doing is a bit muscle memory, so you're able to cast your mind into those creative areas and go with the flow sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. It's I just think it's life. I think a good testament to like what you are as a filmmaker is just how do you if you're into problem solving, you're gonna be good as a filmmaker or any creative, I think.
That's cool,
because it's 101 problems a day, and that's all filmmaking is. But if you get a kick out of it, then you're going to have a great time, and I do so.
And you do, and I'm sure you do. I mean, it must be an exciting workplace to be in 90% of the time.
It's great to see at the end of it all what the film actually is, because you make a movie, and it's like, so you've got to write it, okay, that's one version of it, and then you've got to shoot it, that's another version of it, and then the edit is a completely different thing. And then at the very end, and it can be like a year, 2 years after you had originally written it, there's an actual movie, and it's nothing like what you originally had in your head, apart from it's the same script, but just more in its DNA, like, because you're a different person 6 months, 12 months down the line, the film naturally is as well.
And if you're listening in and you're a creative type, and I know that a lot of my students from Upbeat listen in, Ryan, and they take note of stuff, especially when I've got guests in, and they're always interested in the stories and stuff. So I guess one of the lessons learnt here is that the creative journey can start in a completely different place to where it can end up, and that is not a bad thing at any point, really. It might be that you sometimes are disappointed with the end product, but also along the way, that journey is, you've learnt a lesson. Somewhere in that journey, even if the end result isn't quite what you wanted. And then eventually you're going to start doing what you do and finding that the end results are always what you want, really.
Yeah, they always are. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends as well who are like sitting on scripts and like they want to make it, but they're terrified that like, oh, what happens if the movie isn't what I want it to be? And I'm like, well, chances are it isn't. It's going to be better. There's a better version of this creative product that you just can't see yet. You've just got to take the plunge and do it. That's
awesome. Well, listen, we're going to have a break for some music, and after the break, we're going to be speaking with Alisdair Pickering. He's the guy that put the whole of the music together for the movie. Great chat with him. Stay tuned. I'm here with you until 8 p.m, and we've got some brilliant chat ahead. This is Where the Streets Have No Name by U2. Enjoy. If You Love Somebody by Sting, and we're now at a point where we're going to have a chat with Alisdair. Alisdair has come along today with Ryan, and the two of them are the catalyst for the brand new movie that's out, Lottery, which Ryan, as you heard earlier, written, produced, directed, and you heard a little bit about the overview of the story. But let's talk about the music, because music is a massive integral part of anything that you visually see these days, whether it's an advert, whatever, but particularly in movies, it has a massive part to play, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's everywhere these days. It's in movies, commercials. If you're listening to a podcast, it probably has a theme tune at the start. There's jingles on the radio. It's got a function in pretty much every form of media these days.
And the better it is, the catchier it is, the more memorable sometimes the visual is as well.
Oh yeah, sure. Especially with the shorter the piece of music is, whether it is a jingle or a theme tune for something, in those 10, 20, 30 seconds, you have to make something that people are never going to forget, which is why some theme tunes, take the Coronation Street theme tune, everyone knows that from the first 5 seconds. Doesn't matter who you are. So you've really got to be for those kind of things, you've got to have a talent for making something that, you know, people are going to be able to remember very, very quickly.
That's a good point made. This is, of course, Alisdair Pickering. Alisdair, you are, in essence, probably a guitarist, really, are you?
Yeah, that's how I started out. My musical journey's been quite progressive, shall we say. I started playing guitar when I was about 9 or 10. And until I was 16, I was just a kind of gigging guitarist in the area. That was kind of my focus. I played a lot of rock music and then got into jazz. And when I was about 16, 17, I started studying classical music actually, and film music, big band music, orchestration, writing music, and more creating the music. And that really kind of sparked my kind of fire, if you will. That became my obsession for a couple of years before I went to university, and kind of put me on the, okay, this is what I want to do path. Instead of being more a kind of performing guitarist, I was more kind of drawn to the mechanics and the construction of music and production and orchestration and writing, and just how it works, really, how it all fits together.
And that your journey, you crossed paths quite a few years ago now with Ryan at college. That was at Blackpool and Fylde College, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I was studying music at Blackpool and Fylde, and Ryan was studying media and filmmaking. And the first project we ever had was a music video project where musicians from the music department would be we would write a song, and then we would make the video with the media students. So I'd put together a kind of jazzy fusion track on I think it was GarageBand at the time. Cool. And Ryan made the video for that in the studio down at Blackpool and Fylde. And we got on really well. Kind of beyond that assignment, we had a bit of a spark. And at the time, Ryan was making his first feature film, White Summer, and I just kind of got into writing music at that time. So I was looking for, something to kind of get my teeth into. And he said, well, I've got a whole movie that is going to need some music, so I kind of took up the task. And that was our first collaboration about 10 years ago now.
Wow, that's a great story. And along that way, you've obviously you bonded, because the two of you know each other really, really well now. So as time has gone by, and probably one of the reasons, of course, why we're getting so much excitement around this latest movie is obviously your journey. You're gonna improve each time, aren't you? And now I suppose you're producing something which you're both proud of, yeah?
Oh yeah, and it's very much the culmination of 10 years of student films, of independent films, of trying things out that maybe didn't work, trying things out that did work a lot, and just kind of chiseling away at the stone until you get that kind of feature film that's kind of the first kind of like a hallmark moment for both of us, where
that's great.
It's like the first feature film where everything kind of lines up perfectly and all the elements come together, I think.
How cool is that? And so your journey started with you doing some stuff, as you said, at college. This latest movie, you ended up recording some of it abroad?
Yeah, so the better part of the last 7 years I've lived in Amsterdam. So when I was 18, I went to study music at the conservatory in Amsterdam. And I majored in composition and arranging, so mostly writing for big bands, orchestras, any kind of ensemble really that needs it, which is still the bulk of most of my work now. And then Ryan went to London, so we both moved away at similar times. So also, all the projects we've done since then, it's been as remote as it can get. Ryan would be sending me film clips, and I'd be sending music back from Amsterdam, and he'd be sending it from London or Blackpool or wherever we were. But yeah, so for this one, for the Lottery soundtrack, it's a very multifaceted soundtrack, this. So I kind of began writing music for this just with acoustic guitar, actually. It was basically acoustic guitar improvisations. And then I wrote parts for a string quartet over the top. And we had a bit of a budget, so we were able to afford live musicians for this. So with a friend of mine from Russia, a producer I've worked with several times, called Zayens, we were able to hire a studio in The Hague in the Netherlands, and also a live string quartet. And it was a very international project. So I'm working with a Russian producer, and the string quartet is Finnish, Lithuanian, Turkish, and Russian musicians. And it was great fun. We recorded everything in about 5 or 6 hours in The Hague, and then slapped that on top of my guitar improvisations. And then a few more of the tracks on the album are a bit more purely electronic, Hans Zimmer-esque. So it's a quite diverse soundtrack, but it does fit together for the film. Yeah.
That's really interesting, and it must be quite something for both of you to be thinking about the journey and the kind of almost global collaboration from musicians from different parts of the world, coming together and being part of a cool project such as this. It's fabulous to hear, and I think some of the stories that I'm wanting to get over to the younger musicians that listen in is that there are many avenues that might open up for you in music. And we were talking before we went on air about the fact that a lot of here at the Academy at this moment in time, the kids want to be in bands, and of course you can completely understand that. But then, at places like the colleges around, there are A-level courses like music tech, and they're not particularly supported in high school level to a great degree. So if you want to if you get to the point where you're choosing your A-levels and you come across music tech, well, what's it about? Well, it's about sound engineering, the physics of sound. It's about getting to grips with Logic Pro, which is an audio workstation which allows you to manipulate sound and create music. And that journey can then take you into lots of cool, exciting areas like producing music for films, like doing it for adverts or television, or even, and we spoke about this earlier on, gaming. And I don't know, if you're listening and you're thinking, well, music might just be a hobby for me, I might just play around the local area, that's great. And we all laud that, and I love the fact that, you guys want to do that. But there are other avenues, and Alisdair is a living, breathing example of doing exactly that, and then branching out into other creative musical areas. So this is something that you guys might want to explore more, and we can offer some advice here at Upbeat, and of course on Coastal Radio as well. So if you do want to get in touch and you'd like to know more information, please email me at info@coastalradiodab.co.uk, or contact me on social media. As you know, Ian Hooper, I'm around, either through the Coastal Radio site, Upbeat Rock Academy, or on my own musician site itself. It's really exciting to have you guys in, and just delighted that we've heard some more in-depth stories about the music. So I'm going to ask you both a quick question. So Ryan, swing that mic over. What's without giving anything away, what's the favourite part of Lottery for you when you're looking at it as a whole and you do a deep dive into it? What gets you going the most about this movie?
It's the music. Is
it really?
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because the guy responsible for it sat next to me, but no, it is. It's the same on every movie. It's because I don't know. I always think of my early film experiences and the kind of movies that blow your mind, sort of thing, like Edward Scissorhands and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff, and the stuff that got me into filmmaking. And it's well, looking back, was it the movie or was it the soundtrack that had the biggest impact on me, kind of thing? And I think it's a good 70-30 music. And now that I'm
blown my mind.
But now that I'm a working film producer and I'm responsible for making stuff now as well, and I edit as well. I'm hyper aware now that you can put as much as you want into the visual aspects of a film, like the film, but then the music is telling its own story subliminally as well. And I think that is maybe that's a good thing for people who are thinking about film scoring as an avenue. Is you got to think of it in terms of sort of long form storytelling, I think, because there's things that Ali does in a soundtrack 30 seconds into a movie that then pay off an hour and a half later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's that connection kind of somewhere in your brain between image and audio where the stars do align and you kind of go, yeah, that's what that means in the story. That's and I get that because the music is informing me of something that maybe I'm not seeing but I'm feeling. And I think that's kind of, I think that's what filmmaking is for me. It's the emotional logic trumps the actuality of what's
Love
going
it.
on. I think that's my thing. Anyway.
I think that's a yes, a lovely choice actually from Ryan. I'm going to swing that mic back over to you, Alisdair, and can we repay the compliment here? Can we think about a visual side of the movie that really was special?
There is a certain with the I don't know if this was the visual production or the day that you filmed some of the shots on, but there is a real kind of lushness to some of the actual cinematography that you get. Particularly, there's a scene where the two of the characters are walking through a park, and the music behind it is almost folky. Actually, it's acoustic guitar with strings. It's one of those pieces. And there's certain scenes like that where the music and the visual aspect just marry up so perfectly. And there's quite a few scenes, particularly at the climax of the film towards the end, where everything goes a bit awry, where the kind of darkness of the music and the visual aspects, again, there's a kind of glow on how it looks and the sound of what I put to it. It's just a perfect combination of sound and visual, of what you're seeing, you know, from a purely production perspective, regardless of the music itself.
And, you being on that side of it, you're going to see it from a different perspective to most people anyway, because you've been involved so deeply in it.
Yep.
And Ryan obviously sees it from the final product, but also that all of those images in his mind have given you some kind of insight into how it ends up. Delighted to have had you both in. I really wish you all the best with this, and I want to keep this thing going. I think we should have a little meeting every so often. How's it going? What's going on, and keep connected. Yeah,
that'd be good. Movie music. That's my jam.
That's great.
I don't really listen to anything in the charts or anything. If you see me about with headphones on, chances are it's a new Alisdair Pickering track. And I'm not just saying that. That's that's cool. Kind of my therapy, I guess.
Wow, you guys have certainly bonded over this thing, haven't you, over the years? And that's another great thing. Obviously, collaborations. Again, if you're listening in, who knows who you might be working with? But if you can get that bond, if you can understand the direction that somebody else is going in, and you're able to help that's a really, really good point, isn't it?
Just say as well, it's the whole emotional logic thing with like movie music. I'm at a point now with Ali where we've done about like 11 movies, I think, together, and so Ali does have a better kind of emotional understanding of like what makes me tick creatively than than anyone I work with, like other frequent collaborators, and it's because it is music based and it is so. It is about emotional logic, and it's that thing I was saying about earlier with like editing, where your film, you can have an idea of what it is, but then what it actually is, you don't find that out until you layer on the music at the end of it, I find, because that's the emotional, reality of it.
Fabulous. Well, I love that. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I can't wait to see Lottery now. I'm so looking forward to viewing it. So, finally, where can we see Lottery?
Lottery is out now globally on Plex, which is a free streaming service. So you can watch it on your telly, you can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on your laptop, your tablet, anywhere and everywhere.
And the soundtrack, I should say, is available on Spotify.
Is it really?
If you want to check it out.
And it's
and YouTube too, I think you put it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on
YouTube, Spotify, maybe Bandcamp also.
And under what name on Spotify? Is it your name or the?
So it was the name it was an artist name with my friend Zions, the producer. So it's Lottery Soundtrack under Hanging Gardens is the artist name.
So I'm going to grab one of these tracks and I'm going to play it before the end of the show. I'm going to play a piece of the movie on the show before I finish at 8. And you guys, once the show's over at 8 o'clock, if you have the desire to go and watch it, go and watch the movie tonight. What better night than a Sunday night with a bit of popcorn and your family around you on the couch or whatever, or if you're just listening, if you're watching it in your laptop, go and have that experience that we've been talking about, and you'll probably watch it in a slightly different light now you've heard the guys who produced it and put the music behind it talking about it.
There was a review we had the other day which called it a romantic drama turned thriller, and then someone else called it beautiful and dramatic in a 4-star review. So I don't know. If you're thinking, do I want to watch this? It's like, yeah. If you're into romantic dramas that get a bit weird and turn into thrillers, this one might be for you.
Sounds great.
And we're in the mix on the second movie, Talking to Ghosts, which will be coming out July, I want to say. It's coming out in the summer. And yeah, that's a straight up thriller. So,
a lot darker.
Yeah, there's still some love in there. There's always got to be a bit of love, but yeah, we're hammering away. We're working hard.
That's cool. Listen, I'm gonna have to go because we'll be getting cut off soon from the show. It's been awesome talking to you. We're coming up to 8 o'clock, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. There are a few songs left, and as I say, I'm going to try and grab one of the songs from Ali's soundtrack for Ryan's movie. Don't forget, it's called Lottery. It's out on Plex. Go and watch it now. And it's been great to have you guys in. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye.